be out here doing my best. Haters want me dead. Mental health -15. Debit alert, left, right, center. But I'm out here with you again, trying to confuse my enemies with that smile. And of course, trying to dress, not to impress, but to make sure that I'm here to give you the best. No time for Shalaye, Likatarodo. Yeah, pacey, intriguing, and genuinely hot. I welcome you not to the Bahrain Grand Prix track, but to the initial edition of this pulsating hour that you're going to be spending with us right here on the inaugural edition of the show. Welcome to the Gliders, a brand new sports show on BETWGB TV, and I am going to be your host for the inaugural edition. And of course, for subsequent edition, except when things don't allow me to be here. My name is Joy Ojablu Sudo Euphoria, and I'm going to be your host, like I mentioned earlier on. Like I said, this is the Gliders on BETWGB TV, and we are getting ready for what is going to be the best 1 hour you're going to be spending on YouTube. I'm not working alone. I'm not from the blue side of Merseyside, I'm from the red side. And of course, I am here with the three finest gentlemen you're going to be finding in the studio. First off, on my far left, I have with me a man who is known for his blunt takes. He's a man who is known for his innocent face. But when he hits you with those analysis, you're going to be on the edge of your seat. Joining me on this edition is Timothy Daimbo. We like to call him TMT. How you doing?
Yeah, hi Joy. Good morning. It's really nice to be right here on the show, The Gliders. Something we have really anticipated, and of course, we've really put in so much work. It's time to get the work done. So let's get it rolling.
All right. Next to him is the man who is as brilliant as he is mischievous. We like to call him the Thomas Shelby of the show, and of course he's here to bring to you those brilliant takes as well, as long as he's also adding all those small jabs in between. Makes it a sandwich kind of analysis for him. Meet Michael Adegbile. We like to call him Mikolo. Mikolo, how are you doing?
Nice to be here.
What's with the calm persona? You know this is not you.
First impression matters. I want the subscribers to know that I'm not everything you described me as. But then it's good to be here. We are here to talk sports and everything that's happening, and I can't wait to get this rolling.
Of course, last but not the least is a man just beside me, and of course, the man whose looks and brilliance makes him the gentleman of the show. And of course, we know he is loaded up there. Emmanuel Sebastian joins me on the show today. How are you doing, Emmanuel?
Well, I'm good. Very, very privileged to be here amongst these guys, brilliant minds. But I'll leave the viewers to say who's more handsome than all of us. But I mean, it's a privilege to be here. I mean, it's the Gliders. We've been waiting, and let's set the ball rolling.
That's the advantage of being the only lady on the show. No one drags beauty with me. Yeah. So starting this edition of the show with lots and lots of local football talks, because we're going to be talking about the run-in, like we like to call it, in the MPFL. But before we go into all of what we have for you on this show, if you're just joining us for the first time, if you've not subscribed, I know we have people who have subscribed before the show started. So if you're joining, if you're watching, you've not subscribed on this channel, do well to click the subscribe button, turn on your notifications to make sure that you catch every edition of this show weekly, as we're going to be bringing to you hot and fresh. So yes, let's start from the MPFL. Match day 33, guys, went down, and we had shockers everywhere. Is it from Enugu? Not even just the fact that Enugu was in mourning. There was also mourning on the pitch, because Enugu Rangers lost surprisingly in that derby game against Heartland, who at relegation threatened Heartland. That one went down. We also had the first relegation confirmation of the season, which is that of Lobby Stars. It was knocking, but a lot of people were maybe thinking maybe they'll be able to avoid it. Unfortunately, they could not, and they've been confirmed relegated. That also happened. Also, the title contenders, both of them faltered. Yes, one lost, the other one could not capitalize and also drew. Surprisingly, because the team they drew against was a team that just came from collecting 6 elsewhere in the Southwest. Yes. elsewhere in the southwest, just days before, because it was a midweek fixture. I think it was on a Thursday, and then they played on Sunday. So all of this makes match day 33 in the that's in the running era, so interesting. I'm going to start with you, Timothy. Lobby Stars, former, will I call them champion? Because that season it was stopped. But I mean, they were able to go on to represent us on the continent the next season. Lobby Stars have been relegated from the MPFL. 2 seasons ago, they were playing in Lagos in the Super 6. Right now, they'll be playing in the NNL next season. How did this hit you? And did you see this coming at any point in time at the start of the season?
Well, maybe not at the start of the season, but firstly, I would like to start with, I did an article on them recently, and I would like to start with the conclusion I made. I said Lobby Stars are on a free fall, but how long will it take for them to get back to the top? So now it's obvious that they are falling, because when we got to the later stages of the season, because it's crazy that you see a team that was about 11 months ago, they were trying to contend to win the title, but they did not have a good end to the season, but it still did not stop them from finishing in a good position. I think they finished 6th last season after they had a very good start to the season, and a little blip later towards the end of the season did not allow them finish in the top 3 stages. But they had a good season for Lobby Stars, for a team who played in the playoff, like you said, 2 seasons ago before last season. But right now, they are relegated. But to be very honest, I think there is so much drama around Lobby Stars. Firstly, how do you describe a team that does not have their own training ground? Up to this point, you don't have a specified training ground where your team players can train and do every of those things. Then the coaching issues. Firstly, when they let Eugen Agabe go, you'd have thought that they would have brought in someone. Although it was obvious that their recruitment was really not nice, because you see the players that left and the kind of players they brought in. Then there was so much drama around Lobby Stars. A new management was brought in, and it was looking like they were going to probably get things right. But eventually, they kept on going. They brought in Daniel Amokachi at a point. Daniel Amokachi came in. He probably thought it was going to be easy, although I had issue with the Amokachi appointment as well. Amokachi has not really had it good doing or handling Nigerian clubs. If you look at the pedigree of clubs he has handled before. So coming to Lobby Stars, a side that is on free fall at that point, you'd think that you want to bring in a manager who has done this at the highest stages. If you want to bring in coaches, you bring in the likes of, although there's the case of trying to do all the behind the scenes, something that is beyond the old drama on the pitch. You bring in the likes of Dejayen, someone who has that pedigree of, handling teams at that point of, but you bring in a Daniel Amokachi, someone who is pedigree, and the way he has handled teams in the Nigerian Premier Football League has really not been decent. So it's really, really, at a point also, Amokachi brought in, I don't know if it was Amokachi that brought him in, or the board. He brought in a Finnish guy. Did the Finnish sounded like the guy don't finish? You bring person who don't finish, come manage, but eventually...
At the point, you think it was a skit.
Yeah, you get it. The guy came in, but when I saw the whole drama, players, there were rumors, I don't want to say it, that, even we heard...
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. You even heard the media officer of the team speak on audio, although I think that was really, really bad of the media officer coming out. For a team you are working for, you are carrying the representation of this team. You are the media. You are the person that is supposed to put the team in good light in terms of whatever happens in media. Yeah. But you went out saying all sorts of things and all that. But we heard rumors allegedly that there were cases where there was fixing of games and all of those things. So for Lobby Stars, it's really crazy. 43 goals conceded, and they had just 23. They have just 25 points, and they are 20th on the log. It's really sad that for a team who were contending for the title last season, they would not be playing in the league next season. But of course, like I said, if you can go on my page, you can read the article and see. I said that Lobby Stars are on a free fall, but for how long will they stay on it?
That is on Lobby Stars. Really sad one. Like he said, last season they were contending. For me, 2 seasons ago, they were also in contention because they came to Lagos here to play in the Super 6. And of course, they stood the chance to actually win the title that season. So 2 seasons, you're contending for the title. The next one, you are...
Was that game I fell in love with Atuli in Lagos?
Oh, actually, yes. That was where we fell in with Atuli.
As a person as well.
As a person too. And also, Eimba also saw him there. And that was where he did his display to make sure he landed himself a contract with the biggest team in the country. Well, before I go to the next person on MPFL conversations, let me just give you a roundup of the results. Bayelsa United sent shooting stars back to their families. If you want to understand the reference, go check Bayelsa United's official handle on Twitter, now known as X. Rangers International lost at home 2-0. It headed in favor of Heartland FC. Nasarawa United defeated Plateau United in that derby 3-2, with a lot of drama by the side. Kano Pillars relegated Lobby Stars with that result. 2-0 ended. Sunshine Stars defeated Aimba 2-1. Sunshine Stars are fighting for their life. They don't want to be like their fellow nomads, Lobby Stars, who are walking up and down. So they got a very massive result against Aimba 2-1. Abia Warriors, not surprisingly to a lot of us, defeated Rivers United 2-0 in that their very wonderful stadium and pitch. Then Remo Stars couldn't capitalize. They dropped points in Ikene. 0-0 it ended. That's not surprising because there was no goal scored in that encounter. Aqua United still looking very, very suspicious, because why are you dropping points against El Kanemi Warriors that drove all the way from Maiduguri to come to Uyo? 1-1 it ended. Kwara United lost at home, surprisingly, to Bendel Insurance, 1-0. And finally, the babies of the league, the first team to score over 50 goals in this season of the MPFL, talking about Ikorodu City, defeated Niger Tornadoes by 3-0. That's 9 goals scored in 2 consecutive games. That's in 2 games in total. 6 in the midweek, 3 on the weekend. Those are the results we got. So let's dive into the one that happened in that particular derby in the Cathedral, that's in Enugu. But first of all, this is us sending our condolence messages to the family and also the club side, talking about Rangers International, the Super Eagles, and entirety of Nigerians and those who support the national team. It was a really sad one for us. Over the weekend, we got the news that the first AFCON winning captain of the national team, talking about Christian Chukwu, popularly called the chairman, passed away at the age of 74. This is someone that I have always known to be maybe a benchmark of loyalty when it concerns club football. He only played for one club in his entire career, and that's Rangers International. He didn't play for any other club side. His mates went abroad, his mates went other. They were going around, going to places like Stationary Stars. He stood with them, he finished with them, and that is why I believe that is someone who should get maybe a state burial. Who should be getting, not maybe, should be getting a state burial from this country, because he gave it his all. Lifted the first title that we got in the AFCON out of the 3 we got. That's the African Unity Cup, as it was called. And of course, he has gone to be with his ancestors. May so rest in peace. That is for chairman. Rest on chairman. Let's talk about what happened in his club side the next day. Very laudable gesture by Rangers, by the way, with what we saw. Their design for the match day was him. I loved it so much. I can't explain how much that gave me so much, made me feel emotional and all of that. But when they went on the pitch, surprisingly, Heartland, they were not chairman on that deal. Heartland, who are fighting relegation and fighting for their life, decided that this one, sorry, we know you have money, no, but please, we don't want to mourn. We don't want to mourn. We don't want to mourn. And they went on to defeat Rangers 2-0. I'm coming to you on this one, Sebastian. Defending champions of the MPFL, not looking like it's going to happen for them mathematically. I don't know if they are ruled out mathematically, but even on the pitch of play and everything, I don't think they can retain it. But I was looking at it from the angle of them not being able to even make the continent. Yes, you're not winning it. At least make the continent. We saw Rivers United do it this season. They did not win. They went back to the continent. What happened with Rangers this season? They faltered a lot at home at some point. What happened? What was it? The part that their coach was mostly on national team duty, or what do you think happened with Rangers International this season?
Okay, for me, I would say, like you talked about them faltering at home, this season. That is stark contrast to what they showed last season, because they had a 100% record at the Cathedral in their title-winning season. Now, this loss this weekend was their 5th home loss. The first was against Kano Pillars. That game, if you remember, was Ahmed Musa show, 7-goal thriller. So they lost to, Plateau United as well. They lost to Shooting Stars. Up to 5 losses at home. So if you want to defend the title, you don't lose 5 games in front of the home fans. And this loss this weekend, it's a derby game. I mean, Heartland, they don't care. Yes, you're mourning, but I mean, it's bragging rights. You have to play football. You know, they showed no remorse on the pitch. They also have to survive. So they showed no remorse on the pitch, and they won deservedly. 2 beautiful goals they scored. You know, for Rangers International, yes, you talked about their manager being away on international duty as well, and some of the players as well. But I think they've not replaced the spine of the team that won the title last season. From the goalkeeper, they've got Japhet Chukwu. He left to Lobby Stars. Yes, we've seen Lucky Abdullahi in goal for most of the games this season. Also signed from Lobby Stars, so it's more like a
exchange.
Yeah. So, I mean, Lucky Abdullahi, he's done his bit, but Japhet was such a crucial player for Rangers. I mean, I was opportune to go into the camp in Jos on that final game of the season against Gombe United. I saw the leadership he brought to this Rangers side, you know, in that title-winning run. So when you lose such kind of player, it's always going to tell. Now in the midfield, there's Chidebere Nwobodo. He left to Rwanda, also another crucial player in their title-winning season as well. So has he been replaced? He was the captain of the side. They also lost Chukwu Nwodu, who left to Enyimba as well. Though he's not been seeing much playing time with Enyimba, we don't know what's happening with Enyimba at the moment because a lot of things have been happening. So that's your title-winning captain. He left to Enyimba. Now the armband was given to a young chap, Chinemere Mugweze. I mean, I'm not faulting him, but I mean, we've seen it all over the world, young captains being given leadership roles and all that. But when you want to give a captain to such a young player, you need, you know, someone around him, you know, leaders around him as well. So it's not, I mean, we know captain is not just by armband alone. So you need to lead on and off the pitch. So it was huge for Chinemere Mugweze so far this season. So I think they've lost.
I think Obaji at the point also.
Yes, even Obaji as well. You know,
they've lost Kazim
into the season. They lost Kazim and Obaji. I mean, this is a guy who I think was the top scorer in the 2015-2016 season with Lobby Stars, where he scored 18 goals. In their title-winning season, he scored 12 goals. Yeah. Now this season, at some point, we hear he wants to leave and stuff like that. And he came back. He's got just 4 goals this season, and been in and out of the squad. So if you look from those key areas, from the goalkeepers to the midfield they lost a core group of players. So have they been replaced adequately? We don't know. We're not sure because that's what it looks like so far this season. And you talk about Fidelis going in for national team duties as well. It can also affect the team as well. You know, they've got, at some points, they got Oyebuchi in the national team as well, camping. So when you miss key players into the season, it tends to affect. And losing 5 games at home is always going to be detrimental. Very criminal for a team that wants to defend the title. So, but like you rightly said, the title is far beyond their reach right now, but they've still got a chance in the continent. They knocked out Same Heartland in the President Federations Cup. It was 1-1 at full time, went into penalties before this game this weekend. So facing same opposition again, trying to do it again, they just couldn't. So maybe they can qualify for the continent via the President Federations Cup. Or maybe I can still give them a chance in the league if they can be able to pull through. Because up next at the Cathedral is also another Oriental derby against Enyimba. That's the final Oriental derby of the season. Yeah. And Enyimba, for all their troubles, they are yet to lose an Oriental derby this season.
And then we also remember what happened last season.
So it doesn't get any easy for Rangers. So they just need to pick up the win if they want to qualify for the continent via the league route, or just go on better in the FA Cup. So it's a whole lot. And I predicted them to, defend the title. Imukolo can remember.
I think
but it's not something happening
at
right
the end
now.
of the season, I think we're going to bring out that clip. We're going to visit that clip at the end of the season. Talking about Miholo and content, the content team, or one of the content teams of the MPFL, Ikorodu City, were yesterday again at home. They had back-to-back home games, a rescheduled fixture from match day 31 against Katsina United, who went on to, spoil Remos Gary yesterday. And then yesterday was against Niger Tornadoes, who were looking stubborn at the start of the game. But eventually, they were able to actually break that particular barrier. Let's talk about their team. This is a team that has a lot of young and hungry guys. The person who got a brace for them yesterday was, we call him the super sub in that team, talking about Ayomide Cole. How has Ikorodu City been able to manage this particular thing from when that's their first part of the season where they had first 5 games where they had a terrible run. Right now, they've gone on to become the team that everybody is looking forward to score goals. Now they have 51 goals in 28 matches. What happened? What was the turnaround for Ikorodu City?
I think it's a mixture of so many things. For Ikorodu City, it's a mixture of the players as well as the management. You know, they have a very young management. They have young players that are looking to prove a point. You know, when you look at the chairman of the club, is probably barely 50, and then you look at the directors of the club as well. These are guys that are looking to prove something to the league, and then that also translates into playing on the field of play. They've gone on to get players that you know, played in the NNL. Probably just a couple of players, maybe 2 players have had MPFL experiences. The goalkeeper Faith James, as well as probably Moses Shoda. Indeed, the rest are players that came with them from the NNL. Very
That's
solid
for the
guys.
starting 11.
Do you understand? For the starting 11. So, and this is something they've always said from the moment they promoted. The directors of the club have made it very clear that they do not have the necessary finances to go with the bigger boys in the leagues, playing the experienced players, paying them, you know, hundreds of thousands and all of that. But they want to build core. They believe that they can go at the template of MFM when they first promoted into the league, playing with the very young players that can always get something. These are players that are very hungry to get a name, like the Shola Adelani, Wali Ojetoye, Arizin Uzundu. These are guys that are looking to, you know, stake a claim. And now
I think it has really worked, because if you look at the numbers amongst those players you just mentioned now, Wali has about I can't pick these assists, but I know that Harrison has about 10 goals and assists. Immediate goal, like
everybody's currently on double digits.
Yes, so it's really working for them.
Working. So the thing now is that for people that feel like there was a massive transformation, I'm going to tell you no. It's not like there was a massive transformation from when they were losing those games in the first 5 games on this season. What they were still playing the very good football that they were playing then. It's just that things were not working out as it is expected of a team that just got promoted, and they were just struggling to get the result. But once they go into that slide, once they go into that glide, you know, they started scoring. I saw that. I had to put that somewhere. So once they go into that slide, you know, they have to like start getting the goals. The guys were gelling more with every passing game, every belief, every training session. You know, the new coach of the side, Nuruddin Awero, is such a great manager. And I feel like something that has worked well with him is the fact that he knows how to manage the players. You know, he knows that he's not also there. You know, he's not the likes of Fidelis, he's not Daniel Ogumodede. He believes that the best way to get the very good things out of these players is to be able to talk to them one-on-one. And that's what he has incorporated into the side. They talk like best friends, you know, in their training sessions, and they are willing to give their best for him. So very good guys, very great game for them. You know, there's this joy that comes with them playing good football. And even on occasions where they've dropped points, you can best believe that they are one of the most entertaining sides in the league, as well as Remo Stars. And then to have scored 21 goals at home this season in 7 games in 2025. It's not a joking matter. And then they've also gotten, I think, almost 8 away points this season, which is very integral for you to be able to stay in the league. And so congratulations to Ikorodu. I think you can mathematically say that they'll probably be staying in the league for another season, and yet they are deserving of that.
Still on Ikorodu City. I mean, I just have to say this: they've done remarkably well this season. There are so many benchmarks into their season. I mean, you talked about them over 50 points in your first ever top flight season. I know there was Ocean Boys in 2006 who won the league in their first ever top flight season. But you know, Ikorodu City, with what they've done, they've got Adelani on 11 goals, Ayomide Cole on 10 goals. You were talking about Harrison, 10 assists, or 9 assists rather.
10 goals
off the bench.
Yes.
You know, so it's so many benchmarks into their season. You know,
vibes.
Waliu got 10 assists. He was on 7 before he got a hat-trick of assists. So when you've got fullbacks who are goal providers, so it's so many benchmarks around their season, and it's remarkable what they've done. Credit to everyone who is involved. And I mean, they can have a push for the continent as well, just 3 points below Rivers United. So I don't know how they want to deny it, but they are in that continental push. So in as much as they want to say let's survive, they are there.
But then technically, if you want to also look at it, they have the fact that they have their next set of games are double away games. They're playing against El Kanemi in Maiduguri as well as Akwa United. So it's looking very dicey. But they could still get something off this ground. Maiduguri and Akwa United are also El Kanemi are also not Akwa United especially are also not like doing spectacularly well at home.
Well, I mean, they dropped points.
So you can fancy your chances there. So I believe if they can pick something from these 2 games, and then there's a whole lot to still play for in the rest of the season. They are still going to visit Ikene, which is also like a second home, and I'm looking forward to that game.
They'll probably be hoping that that's not a day they do the what's this thing they call when
guard of honor.
Yeah, they'll be probably hoping that that's not a day, because you do not want to do it. Although they call themselves family, but still you do not want to do that because it's the Southwest.
I think the way things are even going right now with Remo Stars dropping points, I feel like God of Honor will be like the least
Liverpool.
concern going into that day, because
Hold on.
right now I believe
At this point.
that game is going to be very essential for both sides. Now
Yes.
imagine Remo Stars are going to Shooting Stars to play. Hopefully they can get the point that make them champions before then. But what if
They don't.
the
The
Remo Stars versus the
City
City
is a
game
game
spells something important, such as winning the league and qualifying the continent? What happens on that day?
Okay,
We'll be there.
looking forward to seeing that
Front
one.
seat.
Of course, we're going to give you all of the preview of match day 34 in the next episode, because I'm sure the next episode will be out before match day 34. So let's go over to the English Premier League and, of course, talk about the fact that certain players have been under the telescope for a while. But I will start with what happened from from the start of last week, where there was a press conference, and then what's his name now? Nemanja Matic spoke about Onana. Onana did a clap back, and everything went on to the pitch in that game between Lyon versus Manchester United in the UEFA Europa League. And of course, a lot of people will say that Onana has single-handedly knocked out Manchester United from that tie. It's not over yet, because there's going to be a second leg this week. But I want to ask you questions. I want to talk to the guys about what happened in that game. Before that game, what actually caused the whole thing is Matic saying that Onana is the worst Manchester United goalkeeper in the Premier League era. Yeah, I'm saying what actually made it go out of proportion was him saying he was the worst Manchester United goalkeeper in this open era. And that happened. Onana didn't play over the weekend, and they considered for against Newcastle. Now my question is Onana really the problem? Onana was coming from an Inter Milan where he was solid. Inter Milan that got to the final of the Champions League and got knocked out against or lost to Man City by a lone goal. Before that particular day, I don't think they considered more than 2 goals in the entirety of that campaign going to the final. Onana was the man in between the sticks. Do you think that was too much from Matic, or do you think that, yes, with what we've seen him do consistently, including that game against Lyon on Thursday, do you think that Matic was vindicated? I'll start with I don't want to give it to you. You're too mischievous for my life. Let me go with Emmanuel.
Okay, so for me, I don't know. I just don't like players being scapegoated, and also apart from being scapegoated, when you come out to say such against your fellow players, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. Yes, we know Onana came out to say, I think what he said initially was they are better than Lyon at the moment.
It was not a direct attack on Matic.
It wasn't direct on Matic, but whether he took it personal, I don't know. Then he had a pop at Onana, and it was really, really hard.
Like say Dejan Matic friend.
So it was really hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard from Matip saying he was. I mean, he hasn't covered himself in glory talking about Onana since he came to Manchester United. I mean, it's been some poor goalkeeping errors and here and there.
Popularly the Onana thing came from his time at United. So
it's been really kind of terrible since he came. But I think Matip went really hard. I felt for Onana. Then when such is being said about you, what you needed to do was to go on the pitch and you silence your critics. But did he do that at the end of the day? No, he didn't.
I think that's the biggest goof in all of
that is just
having all of those banter and then
they're still fumbling on the
disaster
so
class.
it just sets you up for more banters and all that. So I don't know. Onana is a good goalkeeper. I mean, we saw Manchester United. I don't think it's just on the pitch. I think it goes beyond what's happening.
Is it psychological?
It can be psychological because I mean Manchester United is a big club. Amorim also is a good manager. What he did with Sporting Lisbon before coming to Manchester United, maybe it was too big of a leap, but I don't know. In the words of Odion Igalo, he said, if you want to take a step forward, you try and go back a bit, and then you take that forward. I don't know. Only behind the scenes, this stuff could be understood. So I don't think any of you here will get that. But the problem of Manchester United is way beyond the pitch. So I don't want to throw Onana under the bus. I still think he's still got it in him, but I don't know. Is he outside Manchester United? We keep our fingers crossed, but I think it's beyond what we see on the pitch for Manchester United.
Talking about what we see on the pitch or beyond what we see on the pitch, I want to take that to another team in England, and this time spotlight on one of their biggest player or someone who is supposed to be their biggest player in that team. Talking about Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer has not scored in about I can't over 1,000 minutes now. I think we count in minutes, and over 1,000 minutes he has not scored.
13
Yes,
plus games.
13 goals.
It's not
He has
cold outside anymore.
obviously assisted in games. I think he assisted in that game.
It was the game against Tottenham.
Against Tottenham, where he assisted. Was it
Enzo
Fernandez in that particular one for that goal? And yes, yesterday another game, and Chelsea was against Ipswich. Funny how Chelsea dropped 4 points against Ipswich in the 2 games. Now I want to talk about off the pitch. Some people have the belief that Enzo Maresca has not impacted positively in the life of the players. That it's not even like a step above what Pochettino did with these players. And I want to come to Timothy on this particular one. Do you think that the style of play of Enzo Maresca has been what has affected this guy in this particular season? Or do you think that it's just a glitch in form and he's going to pick up later on?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think in December.
I think we should ask Joy.
No. I don't the show. I asked questions.
In,
Answer me.
in December, Maresca changed their life from January.
Wow.
It's unchanged.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think firstly, I do not know why they brought in Enzo Maresca at the board of Chelsea, because I think here Pochettino did not really do well last season, but towards the end of last season, you saw what he was doing, the way they ended, and you would have expected that they would have probably continued on that project. But I think the Chelsea board, that Begali and what's his name now?
Todd Bowley?
Yeah, Todd Bowley saw something different, and they probably wanted something different. Sometimes the politics of these things do not allow you to understand what eventually happens. But of course, Maresca has been with the team at the point, like we said in December, they were trying to chase if they could pushing for this. I think they were second at the point.
Yes.
If second or third, and they were very just, they were a few points just behind Liverpool at that point. So you would have thought that maybe they would push into the run, but right now they are not doing so well for themselves. But like you said, in terms of the style of play, I do not know if I would say Maresca is not doing well, because most times coaches are stubborn. You see, like Emmanuel was talking about Man United, many Man United fans have complained that, okay, Amorim should change the style of play and probably manage what you have to. You got this right. But Amorim has come out many times in his press conference to say, no matter what you guys say, this is what I will stick to.
Change, yeah.
And maybe that was, sometimes it works, because Eric Ten Hag had his plans before he came to Man United. He lost the first 2 games, then he said, oh no, I know if you do this again. Then he changed it, it worked, but later on you saw that it did not work. So maybe you just have to give him time to actually build what he wants to build. And Maresca, from the beginning of the season, Chelsea fans did not like it, but he had always said that they are not in the title conversation. Whenever even the media tried to push them into that title conversation, he said the goal was to build a team that will be able to compete in the next 3 to 5 years.
That's the same thing Ikorodu City has been saying.
Yeah, so he says it a lot in these press conferences. And I think one thing with journalists, as we as media people, we try to sometimes ask the same question, but Maresca did not at one point twist and say that, okay, this is what we want to chase. He kept on saying the same thing. We're trying to build a team. Of course, maybe with the amount of money they spent, you'd expect that they'll be doing better. But of course, let's see if Chelsea would. They're not doing badly. They are 5th right now. Are they 5th? Yeah, they are 5th right now.
Yes.
And for the EPL this season, there are about 5 spots for the Champions League. So
thanks to us now.
Let's see if they finish in the Champions League places. Then I don't think they've had a bad season. And sometimes in the season, it's not about the run you have; it's about what you do as a collective effort. So if they finish in the Champions League spot, then Maresca has had a good season.
I think for Chelsea's problem, what I want to chip in is the fact that there's no clear identity on what the progress is. They don't know, they can't define progress. You feel like defining progress is winning trophies every season. It's not necessarily like that. Yeah. So for the past 4 seasons, or since when Abramovich left, they've continued to want to identify with the Abramovich style of governance, and it's not working for them. So they feel like before you can satisfy the Chelsea fans, you need to win trophy every season. So bring in 2 million players, bring in 1 million players, just get the trophy done. no, that's not what identity is. If you're rebuilding, as you said you're doing, there has to be a clear identity. If you're staying with Pochettino, if you're staying with Potter, if these are the kind of players, okay, what is the 5-year plan of this team? What kind of players are we signing? Not just every star that pops up in Brazil, you're tying them down to contracts. You want to buy Palmer today, you want to buy so-so player tomorrow, just to win trophy. That's not how you identify progress. You identify progress by identity, culture of a team. We know the culture under Abramovich, hire and fire, win trophies, bring in experienced players. But now you cannot bring in experienced players. You're bringing in young players and still give them that kind of target. They are not even gelling together. Then the moment they are starting to get into their own glide or slide, you fire the manager, and then you won't progress like that. It's not done like that. And I feel like the problem is with the managers. There is no, probably the managing director or the scouts or whatever it is that are in charge of their recruitment processes have to identify what they feel like their 5-year, 3-year program, 3-year, what a 3-year progress is like for them, identify it and work according to that. Simple.
Well, before we leave this topic, I'll ask Sebastian, psychologically, do you think that Palmer has been affected? Because, I mean, not just him not getting the goals, yes, he got 1 or 2 assists in those periods. Do you think that Palmer psychologically has been affected? Because even the way he plays, the way he takes certain shots, he missed the penalty for the first time in a very long time. And before then, you could see that he has not been as confident as he used to be before. Do you think something has happened?
No, we're in summer actually, so it's not cold. It's not cold.
Like I said, it's no more cold outside. But I mean, this shows that you need to, give credit to players who do this on a consistent basis. I mean, the Mo Salahs, the
Bukayo Saka.
When you keep doing
4 seasons is consistency now.
He has a point. So when you keep doing things consistently, that shows how difficult it is. This is Palmer's first full top flight season as a key player. So don't get me wrong. Yes, he played first in football Man City, but he wasn't all that a key player, a key figure. But with Chelsea, more responsibilities now. He's a key player. Scored crucial goals, and yes, psychologically it affects. When that hype gets to you, when the whole talk gets to you. So it's how you're able to sink it in and continue to put your head down. Yes, you can say the form of the team has also affected him, because sometimes not all players do that. Even when your team is in poor run, you stand out. But some players, once you are poor, it rubs off on you as a footballer as well. So I don't think Palmer has really handled that well. And this is the time they need him to step up. I mean, this is the time you need to show that, yes, you've been cold, Palmer. You've been cold all through the season, but he's not stepping up. So psychologically, it's been affecting him. And we've got how many more match days at the end of the season? About 5 or 6 more match days. So, but he might still be in the running for player of the season for what he's done for large parts, but psychologically,
for Chelsea's player of the season.
For Chelsea's player of the season, Chelsea.
We needed to.
So for large parts,
I
but
think
psychologically,
Kukurea will probably get that for me. I'm just saying that.
I think even if he's going to win the player of the not the club's player of the season, I feel like they're even.
Yeah, what are you up to?
When I talk about someone being serious, now you guys understand what I'm talking about. Like I said, I am the host of the show.
I started with the question. You never answer me.
I can't answer questions.
You have changed my life.
We have to exchange seats. You have to come here and sit me down there to answer such questions. Anyways, talking about consistency. Let's see if certain teams are going to be consistent. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the Uefa Champions League is back. Round 2 of the quarterfinals. And this time around, we are going to be getting, it's go hard or go home. This is that's
no
the time.
Place, no games.
Nothing like that. Let's start from the biggest one. The other ones will just do a run through the other fixtures, because I think we know where most of them are going to pan out. But talking about that team that we always know how to somehow find their way to actually get to qualify to the next round. Talking about Real Madrid. Can they do it against Arsenal on a cold night in the Bernabeu? We're going to see that this midweek. I'll start from the man who believes that they can go toe-to-toe because they have 15 Champions League between them and 14 FA Cups between them. Michael, do you think that Arsenal will be able to hold their ground, or do you think that Madrid will somehow, with their satanic style of play, somehow be able to turn things around at the Bernabeu this midweek?
I think football is about mentality. I also feel like football is about how compact you can play. I feel like the outcome of a game also depends on the two teams that are currently playing. And then for all of the time, not trying to disrespect Madrid, they're a very big team, top side, 15 Champions League and all of that, and they've done it consistently. Coming back, don't worry, I'm not trying to.
Don't worry, all of this to talk about in the next episode. So just go.
I can see all of the eyes on me, expecting me to say, but I didn't lie. I didn't cap the fact that these are two great European sides, 15 Champions League and 14 FA Cups between them. So that's actually a fact.
It's a fact. Yeah.
That's why it's one of the biggest games of the season because of the pedigree of these both sides in the two competitions, the Champions League and the FA Cup. So this. So don't do that. All right. So, but I just feel like for Madrid, they've always done it back to back, and naturally you would expect that. But we also have to consider the fact that Arsenal are not also a side that are weak defensively anymore, and that is I feel like that's the perception that people have of Arsenal in the Champions League. The days of Arsene Wenger when you were being defeated 5-1 against Bayern Munich, defeated 8-2 by Manchester United, or embarrassed on the night by Lionel Messi and his Barcelona side. Those days are over. Do you understand? Arsenal can still lose. Yes, they are not the best side in Europe at this point, but you just want to put into consideration the facts and the statistics. Now, the statistics are also saying that in the last over a year or so, Arsenal they've not lost more than 2 goals. You understand? A 2-goal difference. You cannot see a team that's now embarrassing Arsenal. So that is one thing that I currently pride myself in as an Arsenal fan, or somebody that supports Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal side. So Arsenal have become a very compact side defensively, and which is what makes this game a very beautiful one. Beautiful in the fact that if there's a team to complete a comeback in the Champions League, it is Real Madrid. And if there's a team that can bottle a 3-goal lead, it is also Arsenal, going by the precedence. But also, if there's a team that can also keep a 3-goal lead, it is also Arsenal.
Absolutely.
Because by the time Arteta came into the league, Manchester City were always running riot against Arsenal. 5-1, 3-1 on every day. Before he got to the point where Arsenal can defeat Manchester City, he first started from the fact of avoiding embarrassing defeats. And that was what he started with, going to the Etihad and packing the box, and losing 1-0, losing 2-0. Eventually it became a draw, 0-0, before eventually Arteta now got one better against Pep Guardiola. So this is what I always bring to the table when you talk about this fixture. It is not just about the feeling, the emotional, this is what Madrid does on the night. It is about who are they facing. If you are facing a side like Manchester City that also have the ego and the pride, they want to come and play you. A Chelsea side that believe, I have European pedigree. Arsenal, no, they've been nowhere near European pedigree in the last how many years. So this game, Mikel Arteta knows it's not over. So it's not a matter of, you guys have won 3-0 now, they feel overconfident. No. Arteta has said it's just halftime. William Saliba has said the same thing. Declan Rice also said the same thing. So I know the Arsenal boys also know that they have to come to the party at the Bernabeu. So all of those emotional videos, we are going to be closing the roof. We'll be there on Wednesday.
Joy, like Mikolo said, if Madrid made a closed stadium, make it do everything, it's one of those things you want to do, because when
psychological
absolutely
effects.
You try to affect those players. But one thing, like Mikolo said, if you study Arsenal side, there's that growth that Mikel Arteta has instilled into the players. They may not be so big, you may not rate them highly, but within themselves they know that we can always do this thing and make Madrid forget no football heritage this year. That football heritage slang, may they come charm next year.
There's no jazz we want to do this year.
Me, I will still say you.
It looks like two of you are on the side of Arsenal.
The thing is that Ima has PTSD.
I want to come to Emmanuel on this. Real Madrid going into that fixture this midweek will be without Camavinga. They are also going to be without a chunk of their defense. We saw what they played against Arsenal. We saw that this is not the best team that Madrid will put out on a very good day.
Okay.
But they have Courtois tomorrow. They have that's for this. We saw what he did against Arsenal. Actually, we are not going to take that away from him. We also
4 saves and
definitely. But you also have to remember that going into that fixture, the likes of Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo didn't come into the party. If they come into the party tomorrow, do you think Madrid still stand a chance to get a win? Like they say, you have PTSD. So do you think that they can actually do it against Arsenal tomorrow?
The only place I can maybe lean on Arsenal is that they would qualify. let me just say they might qualify. Madrid is winning that game, no doubt.
Waiting concern of
So,
winning.
yeah, no, I'm heading somewhere.
I'm even say they're not going to win.
I'm heading somewhere.
Okay.
Madrid wins that game, no doubt. Because this is the Champions League. It's the Bernabeu. So it's kind of it's a no-brainer. I know 3 goals. I know.
Win and not qualify.
He said it already. If there's a team that can bottle a 3-goal lead, it is still Arsenal. So I'll keep it at that. So, but this is the Champions League. It is a Real Madrid's competition. We know what they've done. English teams, they've gone there, they've conceded. Yes, 3 goals might be too much, but Vinicius comes into the party, Rodrigo, Mbappe, and we know Arsenal can be fragile. Once Madrid score 2 goals in 15, 20, 30 minutes, then it becomes more interesting. Do you trust this Arsenal team to hold on? How are they going to set up? Are they going to sit back, or are they going to come all out to score and make it more difficult? Or are they going to conceal that Real Madrid's attack? The Bernabeu will be pumping. The atmosphere will be really wild. They can do anything to make sure they qualify. We saw them.
They're going to line up those 50 the game over
the game over the weekend against Alaves. I read that they tried to move it the day before so that they can get. That tells you how they want to get this game against Arsenal.
Their ego is up.
So I can say here that Madrid will win qualifying. I'm not sure. Arsenal had the upper hand, but the 3 points on the night is Real Madrid. So, but we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Of course, Arsenal have the upper hand. And if there's something we know about the UEFA Champions League, is that it always produces classics. Will we get another one? This week, we're waiting to see. Talking about classics, other games that will be coming up is that game at the San Siro, where Inter Milan will be hosting Bayern Munich. I remember last week we were having a conversation during the build-up to the first edition of this show. Timothy mentioned that he is actually giving it to Inter Milan to go get a win away at the Allianz Arena. We thought it was actually a tall shot. Yes, we know that Inter were a very good team. They don't concede goals. Yes, they conceded a goal that day, but they went on to actually defeat Bayern Munich away from home. Now, coming to their home ground at the San Siro, just one line, no analysis. Do you think they'll be able to keep that particular lead and qualify to the next round?
You say no analysis. You can't ask me, do I think?
Yes or no? It's a polar question. Yes or no?
You don't know my stand already. Say.
Yes. No, like I said, I'm saying it because we had a conversation. Now to the viewers that are watching,
give him his flowers
yes,
as
actually,
Bayern don't that's the yes or no for me. Just make it end up for them.
All right.
Now Barcelona, they look like this.
Okay. Now for Barcelona, Mikolo, they have a 4-0 advantage over Borussia Dortmund. I think that's gone.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I feel like their part is even very clear up onto the final.
All right.
No, it's not clear. They face Inter actually. Make it like. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He's a low-key Inter Milan fan.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He doesn't hide it.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like when you make it look easy, that's what I'm saying. That it's not clear. Like it's not like they're playing against Inter.
I take back my words.
Yeah. So
okay, and the final one, which I think is the most interesting, apart from the Arsenal Real Madrid game, for me, is that game that will be happening at the Villa Park. That will be the game between Aston Villa and PSG. We saw a very wonderful display. I'm so sorry that Arsenal Real Madrid covered the entire conversation from the week, but we had a very interesting game over there at the Parc des Princes, and Aston Villa are coming back home and saying, come to the Villa Park. Do you think that Aston Villa would be able to turn things around? They look like a team that is really compact and can do it. Unai Emery has, what's that thing? Pedigree. That's what he always say. They have European pedigree. He has European pedigree. Yeah. Maybe not in the Champions League, but of course he knows how to play European football. Yeah. Do you think he'll be able to do this over PSG, who have not won the Champions League despite everything that they've tried to do over the years?
Yeah, Unai Emery as well against his former side, PSG. So 3-1 might just be too big for Aston Villa to overturn, but they would go into that game with maybe nothing to lose. Yeah. The side under less pressure. Throw everything at the kitchen sink against this PSG side. But PSG as well, the league is done and dusted. The French league on. Yeah. They've won the league already. So it's the holy grail. Yeah. The Champions League. That is what they are chasing right now. So I think they will also, be too big for Aston Villa to handle on the night. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I don't see Aston Villa getting past, coming back. I think 3-1 in the first leg. I feel
it's open because if we know PSG, although with Luis Enrique, it's been really different. He's handled that side very well. They know how to. They know when to pass. They know when to let's go direct. They know when to do everything at the right spot. And if you watch the game last week, when it was 2-1, when it was nearing the 90 minutes, he was pacing on the touchline, and immediately the third goal came in. He was really excited. But of course, like if you know PSG from the past, you know that okay, if there's a team that can falter on European nights, it's PSG.
Not
PSG.
against Aston Villa.
Yeah, but
Not against
I
Aston
feel
Villa.
like-
That's why I don't see it happening.
yeah,
No,
true.
Not against a team like Aston Villa. Yes, they've got Unai Emery, but I don't see it happening.
I think the only reason why we feel like Aston Villa cannot come back into this is because it's the Champions League.
Yeah, but like
Because it's the Champions
yeah,
League.
maybe
Because
that's the reason.
I would give Aston Villa a chance.
because Aston Villa
in any kind of
2-0,
fixture,
like
yeah.
you get at home at Villa
They're
Park,
very
then
interesting side too.
take it into extra time and probably win on penalties.
And
It
on
can
this,
happen.
this might just be their year, PSG. So keep an eye on them.
No.
You might be fancy Inter Milan, but keep an eye on PSG.
All right. Well, from our conversations, you can see where the guys are tilting towards who wins the Champions League at the end of the day. Don't worry. After this game, after this week, after the fixtures for the quarterfinals are over, then I'll specifically place them on the spot and say who wins the Champions League for the 2024-2025 season. But enough of Champions League talk. Let's move over and talk about something that has been making so much controversy, so much drama on Nigerian football Twitter, generally on football Twitter, talking about the conversations going into next season. Who should start in front for Chelsea? Chelsea is actually the team that is in the conversation, and that is the conversation between Liam Delap and Victor Osimhen. Some are saying, yeah, Ipswich has been very phenomenal. Yes, they are very terrible at the end of the day on the log in the Premier League, but for that guy, he's doing so well for himself, and it comes at a cheaper rate as compared to Victor Osimhen, who was formerly linked to Chelsea before his move to Galatasaray. Some are saying he's better fit because, Premier League experience, of course, you cannot take that away from Delap, because he has played an entire season with Ipswich in the league this season. Victor Osimhen is coming from Galatasaray, and of course, remember the whole drama that happened during that whole the loan transfer to Galatasaray. He was supposed to come to Chelsea until deadline day, and then all of that crashed. Who do you think is a better striker fit for that Chelsea system right now, Mikolo?
I think for me personally, I'm leaning towards Victor because obviously, even before he made that move, I felt like he was going to be snapped up by a Premier League side. He's a very top player from his days playing Wolfsburg. There's also a team in he played before eventually
Charleroi,
and Victor has that aura of Chelsea, and I'm saying that as someone that doesn't even like Chelsea. I just know that he has that fit. Why?
Yeah.
You got to talk out.
No, I have to clarify. If Chelsea has 4 haters, I'm one. If they have no haters left,
They are dead, we know.
But yeah, I feel like he has now to a very serious note. I feel like he has that persona. He has that spirit of Chelsea. Victor is a born hustler. From the streets of Olusosun to walking in the streets, you just know that he has that thing that it takes to resonate with a club like Chelsea. Growing up, we knew the kind of the players that Chelsea signed, the likes of Didier Drogba, who was his idol. You saw there was also a bromance between them at the African Cup of Nations. When I saw them, there was just this likeness that they had for each other. They were very drawn to each other, and there's also a similarity in the style of play. Though you would also want to argue the fact that Victor Osimhen, to me, going by the numbers, is more prolific than Didier Drogba. And yes, I feel so, going by the numbers, and I'm going to stand by that. But then you also just going by how he's going to click into the team. You just know players that fit into a particular system of play. Victor is the type of player that wants to launch the ball and then just play the kind of football that he wants to play, face to goal, kick the ball, lay it off for somebody, and then receive it and slot it in. I just feel like it's going to be the perfect one for them. But also for Delap, Premier League experience, as you said. But for Victor Osimhen, I feel like he's not going to struggle in the Premier League, and I wait to see if he joins a Premier League side.
I think this conversation, firstly, kudos to the English media. He first tilted, he moved away from Isak. Now it's now Delap. I think that the conversation.
They have a way of projecting.
But I think this is a no-brainer in terms of conversation. I know Delap is doing well for Ipswich and all that, but the numbers do not match something you can use to give a comparison to Victor Osimhen. And it's no-brainer for. If they want to go for him, it's fine. But if they want someone better, like Mikolo has said, and in terms of numbers, then Victor Osimhen is obviously that guy.
For me, if you're a Chelsea fan and you go for Delap over Osimhen, then you don't want the progress of the club. He
Yeah, but
has
they
to
don't-
be.
they-
He
they
has
also
to
have
be
their
Victor
history.
Osimhen.
They also have their
Yes,
history,
Delap
so-
is English. Yes, he scored 12 goals in the Premier League this season. But if you talk about pedigree,
Big fish in a small
like,
pond.
I mean, this is Victor Osimhen we're talking about here. Who is Liam Delap? Yes, his father is a popular figure in the Premier League.
It's
You
a
know
bit
him for
true,
his famous throws. But if you want Delap over Osimhen, then you don't want the progress of Chelsea Football Club. It has to be Osimhen.
Talking about progress, I think this is how we're going to progress from the show, from football to talk about the fact that the NBA is over with the regular season and the playoffs will begin from the 19th of April. Yeah, the play-ins are going to be played first for teams like the Golden State Warriors, so I can play against the Memphis Grizzlies, but all of that will bring to you in the next edition of the show. Now, to the very important part of the conversation. If you're watching and you've not subscribed, remember to subscribe and turn on the notification button, because when the next episode drops with all of course you can see it's so much fire in this building when we're talking about sports. So make sure you turn on your notification button. And for social media, because we're going to be giving you a little bit of some of the touchings, I mean, not going to be every day on YouTube. So on social media, as displayed on the screen, follow all our social media pages: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and of course every other one that comes on the screen. I did this alongside TMT. I like to call people by their nickname, TMT.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
see
for
you,
coming.
I see you. Odayomo.
We call her the mysterious one.
I don't like that.
I mean,
But yeah, it was,
everyone can bear me witness that I am not lying. It's what you've done
I
today.
think I'll leave that to the viewers to say if I'm mysterious or not. But then, I like this.
And to Sebastian, we're supposed to find you a nickname.
Fine boy.
Manny.
Manny. Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Manny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, Manny, thank you so much for doing this with me on the first edition of the show.
Yeah, it's been a privilege.
And of course, to everyone behind the scenes, down to the producers, everybody, Edafe, Kalejai, thank you so much for making this happen. And thank you so much for giving us this beautiful output. And to you, thank you so much for staying till this very point in time. You're staying till this time. You are the real MVP. Thank you so much for staying. My name is Joy Ojablu, but everyone calls me Euphoria. And until I see you in the next edition, stay jiggy, stay out of trouble. And of course, wait to see how many Champions League that Madrid will be winning after this midweek's fixture. Bye-bye.